Thanks for joining us on Coast to Coast Pest Talk.
You ready to kick us off, Gabe?
You doing this?
I think so. I think we have to now.
All right.
We're into it. No turning back now.
No turning back. All right. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in to Coast Pest Talk. I'm your host, Gabe, with Pest Patrol, joined here by Andy Sinefsky with Primatech Pest Management. Today we've got a special episode for you. We have a rather famous guest. And I know you're thinking, is it Donald Trump? No, it's not Donald Trump, but basically as famous.
Yes.
We've got a conversation with Foster Brusca with Pest Posse, and we're going to be talking about some of his recent book, a masterclass he's running, and just talk about like pest control sales in general, and hear a little bit about his background in the industry and why you should sign up for Pest Posse TV.
All right, let's bring him in. Now I want to do the like late night show where we have the band play and we bring in Foster. Here he is. Hey.
Hey. You guys are too much, man. I'm not famous. I'm infamous, but I'm not famous. I mean, but I appreciate that. I appreciate finally getting on your guys' show here. I mean, we've had you guys on a couple of times, but I'm glad I'm able to come on here. This is going to be great. I'm going to have fun. We're used to this end of the whole thing. This is going to take me a minute to get used to this.
That's right. Yeah, two things. One, we're an exclusive invite, so it was you gotta be in a rarefied community of people to get an invite onto this show. And two, just sit back and relax, and we'll take care of everything. You don't have to be in charge.
I'm trying to lead everything, back. Foster. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I don't have to push any buttons. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be silent, yelling at Cully to be quiet and let me talk or let the guest talk or something. So
there you go.
Appreciate it.
This one's all about you, so you can go on as long as you want.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, good. Well, if you say that, then I got some stories for you guys you don't even know about. But
So why don't we get started a little bit with, just in case there's like one or two people in the industry that don't know who you are or what Pest Posse is or whatever. What's your sort of elevator speech just to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I've been in the industry a long time. I mean, I've been going on 31 years now being in the industry. I just can't believe it's been that long. And in that time span, I've done a lot. I worked for a large family-owned and operated pest control company. I was very, very lucky to find a home for 23 years for that company. So I didn't really need to jump around in the industry, and my beginnings really started with the Mighty T. It only lasted about 8-9 months there. But, I got really used and abused, and I won't go on about that. But, so really, I've been a service technician, really specializing in, commercial services, been an account manager outside commercial sales. I actually helped start a service center for that large family-owned and operated pest control company in the Monterey Bay, Salinas area. So that was some great stuff for me. But really, I would say the other half of my time with that company really was focused on sales and being what I called an account manager. And that's really what I gravitated towards and really became successful with that. And I can get into more with that. But, when I decided to make a decision to leave that company, I started a whole nother journey of basically a career path. And that's really with the Pest Posse and learning a lot of things from running a business to basically being a content creator, to video editing, to everything else. So I've really just done the gamut of both sides of everything. And it's been really great. And now, to add to my resume and everything else, I'm now a best-selling author, wrote a book, which we'll get into, contributing columnist for Pest Management Professional Magazine, which is just astounding that all came about. But that's just kind of a little bit about me. I mean, I got a lot more, but that's really the stuff that people would want to know about as far as, who I am.
Awesome.
I could go on for 30, 40 minutes to talk about me, which I normally don't do, but I could do that easy.
That's okay. Now, when you say account manager, is that managing an account and doing just the customer service? Is that growing the account and making it bigger? Or is that finding brand new accounts?
Yeah, so that, Andy, that really came about as I started networking. My official title was outside commercial salesperson. Okay. And immediately when I started networking, that turned people off like that. And so I had to come up with a name that I figured was soft enough for people. So I came up with account manager. But yes, in that time, I did end up managing some very, very large commercial accounts. Really the only one at the company that, I was blessed that my branch manager let me use that title. Corporate hated it. They never wanted me to utter that in the corporate halls or anywhere within the breath of anybody within corporate. But with my networking, it really helped. And I did. I was the only one in the company. I actually managed a very large high-tech company, and I had 7 locations that were out of state that I managed with that, which was pretty cool doing that. And I never had to go visit it. I was lucky I had good partners that I could get on calls with and do stuff. So yeah, I managed accounts. And so really the big ones I never walked away from. I always managed those, always did things with them, and always just kept that relationship up with those accounts. And that's, I think, part of the reason why I was so successful with doing sales.
Yeah. Now, did your beginnings with starting off the Pest Posse with Cully, did that overlap while you were still doing account management type stuff, or did you leave and cold turkey and start with the Pest Posse?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Now I can say it because that family-owned and operated pest control company isn't there. It's owned by Rollins now.
Sure.
Yes, we started that as a side hustle in 2017.
Wow.
I was behind the camera. Cully was the face of it. If the company would have found out that I was behind the camera or even helping with this, they probably would have taken it.
Wow.
So I was really in stealth download mode. Nobody knew what was going on. I did a lot of that stuff after hours of me and Cully initially developing the Pest Posse. We did a lot of after hours and a lot of Saturday stuff with that, trying to get that going. So,
wow.
Were you guys both at the same company? How'd you guys get connected?
Yeah, so it's kind of, Gabe, it's kind of funny, actually Cully started in the pest control industry. After I was with Mighty T, I worked for another company that was in basically California. It was a medium-sized company. They actually had a branch office in Hayward, which was in the Bay Area, and Cully worked for that while I worked for their branch office in the Watsonville, Monterey area. We never met at that time. And so when we went to go work, I started working for that large family-owned company. And a year later, Cully came on board, and that's where we met, was at that large company. And we've just kept in contact ever since. He moved on and came back and left. And we've just, for 25 plus years, we've been friends and known each other. And you can really see that on the camera. A lot of people are like, are you guys like brothers or something? And I'm like, no, we've just known each other way too long. So,
Wow.
So that's really, and it was funny. At one point in time, Cully, believe it or not, was actually my supervisor at one point in time at that family-owned company where I was running commercial services. He was a commercial service supervisor, so I had to report to him. So that was kind of funny.
So he comes in, brings you in for like performance reviews and gives you the dressing down and
all that stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, all that.
As he'll tell you, he didn't manage me. I managed him because I didn't need any managing. I was all self-directed. So it didn't really matter.
So how did that come about at the beginning? Like, what was the first talk of Pest Posse? Like, who brought it up, and how did that get hatched?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Cully just, again, we weren't working together at the time. He left, and he'd worked for some smaller companies in the Bay Area and stuff locally. And just, one day he called me up, and he always has harebrained ideas. And he's all, hey, Foster, I'm working at this company, man, and I'm seeing my techs don't want to read books. They're getting on YouTube and they're looking for stuff. They want to watch videos and there's nothing out there. And he says, I really feel that something needs to be done. And I'd like to start a YouTube channel for the pest control industry. Are you in? And I'm like, without hesitation, I should have hesitated and said, I'll sleep on it. But I said, sure, why not? I'm like, let's do it. Why not? I got no idea how we're going to do this, but yeah, because he saw the need. He saw these guys were struggling. The younger generation weren't reading these books. They were trying to find video-based stuff, and there was nothing out there at that time. And, this was all, leave it to Cully. That's why he's a visionary and creator of the Pest Posse, because he came up with this whole idea. And I just, at the time I was already, I guess, a little disgruntled at that company, and there's long stories with that.
Sure. And
I just felt that it was time to move on, and I'd already been trying to move on. And when he came up with this idea, I was like, sure, why not? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's play. Let's do it. So that's how it kind of came about.
So Gabe, what was your first experience with the Pest Posse? I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys, your videos back when you were doing YouTube and not the Pest Posse TV stuff, you were the first training that I got in the whole industry because I came in from scratch. I didn't start in another company, so I was literally watching your guys' videos on Nature Side products and all that because that's what I ended up going into, and yeah,
That's
crazy.
cool. So my first impression, I remember a number of years ago, again, back in the YouTube days, and I came across these crazy guys from California talking about, I don't know, a tin cat or something. And I had no, and I was like, these guys are nuts. And I tell Holly's on the couch next to me, my wife, she works with me in the business. I'm like, hey, look at these Pest Posse guys out in California. What the heck are they doing? And you're like, goofy and talking about everything. And it was the first time I've ever seen something like that. It made quite an impression.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that we didn't turn you off. And that's really, when we started this, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. And Cully's personality is so strong, and he's such, he's such an extrovert, and he's just so out there and such in people's faces, and some people don't like it. And I was a little concerned about it, but I'm like, at the time, YouTube was totally different than what it is right now. Mm-hmm. Nobody was doing what we were doing, so we were in uncharted territory. So we're just like, let's just do what we think is right. And with Cully being so strong, once you put a camera on him, I mean, he's on. So, it was really great, and that kind of helped it. But, I think what really helped us too really was just not being those guys in ties. There's nothing wrong with showing up with events and ties, but I think that generation, is past. And I think we still have that older generation there that thinks that we've got to be all serious and we've got to be in ties. Well, you could see, what we wear. We wear these camp shirts where, they're kind of untucked because they're a little bit more comfortable with us, but we still try to look professional, but we're not wearing ties. We're never going to wear ties to an event because this is the pest control industry. We got to get down and dirty with it. And that's really what we try to do. We try to bring that to it. And I think also just kind of the organic charm of as far as what we do and the chemistry we have on camera is really what's helped us out. So,
yeah. So now moving on to the book, we have to talk about this. I got that the fundamentals of pest control sales as soon as it came out. I wasn't the first person, but man, I was right up there in the front row. What made you think, hey, I'm going to write a book?
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd write a book. Well, Andy, when I left that company I was with, I was just so successful, and when I talk success, I'm not one to really boast. I'm very, very humble. And a lot of times I have my wife as my, basically as my cheerleader and my coach. Cully does that as well too. But, it's really kind of an uncomfortable spot for me. I don't like just saying all that stuff because I hate it when guys get up and start saying, oh, I talked to this and I did all this. But yeah, it gives you some credibility. But, for people that don't know, when I was with that company doing commercial services, I was the first one to hit $500,000 in annualized revenue of commercial services. Some of that was bed bug treatments that were in there. None of it was residential. This was all cold calling. This was all generating my own leads. And I was the first one at the company to ever hit that $500,000 mark. And I backed that up every single year and completely increased my sales. To one year, I hit $1.5 million in commercial services, which had never been heard of in, basically on the West Coast with anybody doing what I did. And so what was really great, and I had to learn along the way how to get in front of the gatekeeper, the title. How was I going to come up with not offend people that I'm a salesperson? I could see immediately that was turning people off. So I really had to develop all of this and come up with my own structure of what to do, how to get with people. And so when I left that company, I had a lot of people coming up to me. So Foster, when are you going to sit down and tell me everything you know about sales and how come you were so successful? When are you going to write a book, Foster? When are you going to put out a manual? You guys are doing the Pest Posse. When are you going to come out with something? And I'm like, dude, come on. Just in due time. I'm trying to figure this out right now.
Yeah.
Writing a book, and that's the other funny thing with the Pest Posse when we started. Cully didn't want to write a blog, and neither did I. I hate writing. I'm not a good writer, okay? But we ended up now, as years have gone by, we write more now than we ever have. And so the book really came about as, I knew in the back of my head that I needed to put this out. I had a lot of people asking for me, this for me. And I forget what I was. I mean, just one day I was thumbing through stuff. I forget if it was on a weekend, and I came across a publishing company that had a webinar that said, hey, we can help you publish a book in 90 days. And I'm like, why not? You know, I'm game. There's all these gimmicks out there. Why not? I'll get on this. It's a free webinar. Why not? I'll get on it. I had that time that week. I booked it. I got on it. No expectations. I figured it was going to be another rah-rah, shish, boom, bob thing. You know, hey, we're going to tell you this much information and charge you this much money for it. Sure. And then you can figure it out then. But, you know, to be honest with you, this webinar, they laid it all out. They told us everything and the whole step, the whole process. I feel they gave away too much. But what they didn't give you was those actual resources behind there to really be successful to do this. And, you know, it wasn't inexpensive, but they broke it down so easily. I got a coach and they broke it down to, you know, hey, just simply write 500 words a day. That's all you got to do. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I can do 500 words a day. And I loved it because they said, you don't need to type that out on Microsoft Word. You can voice dictate it. And I'm like, well, I can do that. Come on. Who can't voice dictate 500 words in one day? I can do that. And so that progress just started and it just snowballed. I started in, what was that? October of 2022. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell Cully. I started in October of 2022 and I got on there and I just started pounding away at it. And sure enough, I had it pretty much written by January 1, 2023. I had it written. Wow. And it was easier because I wasn't doing research for stuff. It was stuff that was in my head. It was my experiences. It was my things that I had. And I was very lucky with that publishing company. You know, they turned me on to a great editor, and that editor basically took the book and really morphed it into what it is now, a true guidebook. So it was very, very fortunate. So that's kind of the long-winded answer as far as, you know, how the book came about. But it's just a really interesting story how it happened.
What would you say, Foster, is if you had to just take a gem or two from the book, you know, why should people go get this? What's one of the more valuable nuggets in there?
Gosh, Gabe, there's so many valuable nuggets, I think, that are in that book. You know, I think really anybody should get it just to really know the fundamentals and really hear what should be said about sales. It's not being said. I mean, you look at all those guidebooks that are out there from all those top sellers, and they never really break it down to true practical stuff. So why should you buy the book? Well, it's going to help you. I mean, I go through and talk about a daily schedule. That's one of the big nuggets. You guys got to be organized and have that daily schedule. That's one of the biggest things there. And then also knowing, you know, that you need to build a relationship with the customer and not expect that sale that day. And I think that would really be the biggest reason really to buy that book is to get organized, know that you're not going to sell it, and know that too, that you can sell, because I do go into that. And, you know, again, it's stuff that's really not said with all of those. And we can name all those sales gurus and they got great information. I've learned stuff from them, but this really just breaks it down. And in it too, it's really written for the pest control industry by a pest control professional. And you're not going to find that anywhere. I don't know of anybody that's doing pest control sales that's written a pest control sales book. Yeah. I don't know of anybody. If there is, let me know. I'd love to read it. I have never seen it. So, you know, that's why I would say you really should buy it.
So how has the reception been? Was it better than you thought? How's it been?
Oh yeah, no, it's exceeded my expectations. I mean, you know, craziest thing, you know, great publishing company, great marketing company behind there. You know, they happened to get me to #1 new release in like 10 categories that they put it in on Amazon. Stayed there for about a couple of weeks. And then it shot to #1 bestseller in business coaching. And I think it was like business and something else. So it stayed #1 bestseller for like a month. So I've got a best-selling book.
Wow. That's awesome.
Who would have thought? A guy that can't read, that barely got through high school. I did it. I wrote a book. I got a best-selling book. I mean, did you
gift wrap one and send it to like a high school English teacher or something?
No, I didn't. I should have done that, but I didn't.
That would be, yeah.
I'd be like
the English teacher that said you'll never make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Read it.
That's right.
Here you go. Here's what I did. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. So now you've taken that knowledge in that book and now you put it into sort of this masterclass. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is this? What's this pest control masterclass, sales masterclass?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just that. It's really taking the book and it's going through certain parts of the book and kind of, I would say, more of kind of a little bit of a deep diving of that book. Yes, there is some things in the book that, I go over with the masterclass, but, really it allows me the time to really dig deeper, tell you about my experiences, what's really worked for me, show you and explain to you, the difference between a CRM and a CDP, showing you a CRM that I've used that's free, showing you a platform, of how to make a proposal that's free and that's about. So I can deep dive into stuff and really have a one-on-one personal experience with the people that signed up. And the first go around we had with it, people loved it. I mean, they thought this was like the best thing. I mean, they loved the one-on-one interaction with me and that I didn't have 20 or 30 people. I mean, we had 9 people on there and it was great because we could really be personal with stuff and give them homework assignments and really just kind of deep dive into it. And I always got feedback with them at the end of each session. What do you want to learn? Did I cover something? Is there something more you want to see? And there was some things I kind of adapted and made sure. And yeah, it was a 5-week course to start with, but we did a bonus 6-week because I really wanted to deep dive a little bit more into the CRM that I was showing them and this proposal system, the proposals, basically how to do this on this one platform. So the next go around that I have here, it is a 6-week. It's not 5-week. And I did it because I kind of tweaked some stuff and learned, but I think it's really good. And again, it's not a rah-rah shish spoon bob. It's just raw. It's organic. It's me giving the class and giving my experience and learning what the people there that are on the class, what they want to learn and what more I can give to them to be successful. So
Foster, who would you say, is that like for a sales, is that an outside sales specific kind of class? Who's that pointed towards?
Anybody, business owner, service technician, new and veteran salesperson. I mean, Andy, if you don't mind me, talking here real quick about Sarah, you got a gem there. I mean, she's a gem of a gal. She's been doing this 5 years and kind of some other capacities as far as selling and everything. And she really learned some things on this class because it broke down and talked about things. It really felt good to me that I heard she was struggling as far as getting in front of the customer and making sure that they were receptive to what she was saying. And when she told me how she was doing it, I'm like, stop, you're doing hard selling. Yeah. Let's step back and let's look at relationship selling. And sure enough, she said she started doing it that way and things just changed for her.
Yeah, so people don't know, Sarah is our commercial outside sales rep. We do only commercial pest management, so we have that sort of thing. And actually, she said her biggest takeaway because we would talk each week after she'd have the session, and she'd talk about her homework and this and that, whatever. And one of her biggest takeaways was she felt like she was had a relief on the pressure she was putting on herself to try to go and sell stuff. Like that this is more of a long sales process a lot of times in the commercial market. It's sometimes I think in residential it's a lot faster, see bee's nest, kill bee's nest, that sort of thing. We're commercial, it's like a relationship based sort of thing. And she came in with a lot of sales experience and good sales pedigree, but sort of a different expectation she had, no matter how much we would tell her, hey, no, this is a long process. This is a long game. You're going to make these relationships and we're going to get this sale, but it might take 6 months. It might take a year. The bidding process might be long or, whatever. But it wasn't until she took the class and heard it from Foster and she comes to me, I think it's a long process. I'm like, oh, yeah, really? You think?
Well, it took the sales guru here to tell her it's going to be okay. Yeah. And that's, and I think when people get into sales, especially if they're going to be doing commercial services, any business owner, okay, any salesperson, any technician, they don't understand that commercial stuff, it is the long game. Yeah. And it, like you said, I've got stories with accounts that it took me 5 years to get that thing on board. Yep. But you got to stick with it. So really this class, like I said, Gabe, getting back to you, it is, like I said, it is for anybody, because you can pick little things out of it. And I don't expect you to come in to the class and just be like, oh, the clouds have parted. Now I'm going to be selling $1.5 million. I will never, ever tell anybody that you are going to raise your sales X amount of dollars or percentage. What I'm going to tell you is, if you follow these steps and you pick out some nuggets, you will be successful. That's what I'm guaranteeing. I'm not guaranteeing the rah-rah shish boom bop, because then that sets me up as a bad guy and failure. And I don't want to be that person, because everybody's different. Everybody's personality is different. Everybody sells differently. Everybody's got a different market. You got to realize that. But if you're going to follow this stuff and you're going to be truly focusing, even if you're just doing residential stuff, I mean, I get into that as well too. Just because I was, a specialized in those commercial services doesn't mean I don't know residential. I had a fun trip, kind of a side thing. I did, when I was building that branch in the Salinas, Monterey area, I actually took my 5 technicians that I had, residential technicians. We went to a neighborhood. One day I blocked out their schedule. We went to a neighborhood and we did door knocking. And I teamed them up into teams of basically of 3, because, it was, we just had the 5 guys. So I basically had 3 and 3. So what I would do is that I would let those 3 go and play. And then I would be with those 2, and we would go and we would play. And then I would go over to those 3 and bring them over. And so it really helped a lot as far as doing that and knowing that, you're not going to sell stuff right away. So really kind of neat things. But yeah, I'm glad that Sarah got something out of it. She seems like a sharp gal. You got a winner there.
Yeah. We like her a lot, for sure. Now, I guess if you're doing this, if the format is sort of a small class setting,
Yep.
Maybe 9-10 people or whatever, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the content can really sort of be customized kind of infinitely for who you have in the class. If you had, a couple one-man operators that are more interested in the challenges that they're going to face, a couple, outside commercial reps, and a couple, say, general inside-outside type residential salespeople, you can sort of tailor what your content is to what they're going to need most. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. Because I've always just get on there, I have homework assignments, but at the end, I always bring people on and go, okay, so this is what we went over today. What did we miss? What were you looking at? What were your expectations for today? What can we do? And there's been a couple of things that people have said. And I said, okay, so this is kind of da. And we've spent a little bit of time on that. And then maybe the next class, I said, okay, we can bring this up a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's why I wanted to do it. It's nice when you only have those 8 people, 9 people, you can just really make it intimate. And that's really kind of cool.
For sure.
So I don't care. I mean, the next round that I have here, to be honest with you, I've only got a couple of people signed up for it right now. If there's only 2 people that sign up for this next round, great. I'm going to still get on. Yeah. I'm not ashamed. I don't care. You guys missed out on it. I know that it's getting near the busy season, and I was a little worried about it.
Oh, yeah.
Get all 8 booked out, great. If not, I'm not worried about it. We'll get on. We'll have a fun time. I don't care. You paid for it. This is what you want. I'm going to be here. I'm not one of those guys that be like, well, yeah, it's not going to work for me. I can't do that. My time's too valuable. I can't do it for 1 person or 2 people. Come on, get over yourself.
I'm a best-selling author. I can't be wasting my time. So now I hear that the NPMA has made an interesting decision for Pest World coming up next October. Tell us about what's going on over there.
Gosh, just when you think things couldn't get any busier, well, it just did. So yeah, we are going to be exhibiting at Pest World. It's kind of our coming out party. We are going to be at booth 331, and MPMA put together a program this year where we were allotted the opportunity to speak at Pest World. We're going to be speaking. Pest World, I think, starts October 22nd. That's on a Tuesday. I don't have the date right in front of me, but I believe it's that. And we're going to be speaking that Thursday at 3 p.m. And it will be, I know you're going to ask me what the talk is going to be about, but it's going to be on the fundamentals of pest control sales. It's not going to be a deep dive like the mastermind class. Now, I've put on locally here, and we've even done some live in-depth training through Pest Posse TV, and it's really kind of give a high level overview of the fundamentals of pest control sales. We go over some certain things. So that's what we're going to do at Pest World, and really so people can really see what we're about. We're given an hour and 15 minutes for the talk, which is great. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then, we've talked about this a little bit, but also too, if we didn't have enough going on at Pest World, yeah, we are actually doing a Pest World kickoff party on Tuesday, 11 a.m. in the Mountain Pass room there at the upper level. We're going to be having a party there from about 11 to 1, maybe 1:30, so we don't interrupt what MPMA's got going on with the opening ceremonies. We've got some great supporters and vendors behind it, so that's why we're able to do this party. And we're going to be having some signups for it and having some other little giveaway stuff that we're going to have there. So it's going to be a true coming out party for Pest Posse. And we're looking forward to Pest World. It's going to be phenomenal for us if we can make it that far.
Wow. Now I have to ask, did you think at the beginning of Pest Posse, when you're behind the camera, you got like an iPhone pointed at Cully and he's showing a mouse trap, that you'd be speaking at Pest World? Did that like ever occur to you?
No, not me. None of this was in my radar, or did I ever think that this was going to happen?
Yeah.
Cully's goal was always to speak at Pest World.
Okay.
That was never really my thing, but yeah, I never thought in the wildest dreams that when we started this on September 4th, 2017, that we'd be where we're at today.
Yeah.
It's just, it's exceeded all of my expectations as far as what we've done here.
That's awesome.
So grateful for everything that we've gone and every place that we've gone and all the supporters that we have. I mean, we couldn't do it without them.
That's awesome. If people want to get a hold of you, I think you can be found anywhere, but is there anywhere specific you direct people?
Yeah, so there's lots of ways. I mean, if you guys want to send an email to me directly at info@thepestposse.net, you can do that. You can go onto our website, pestposse.com, and you can get to our contact us through there. You want to sign up for the masterclass? That's very easy. It's the URL really is pestpossesales.com/masterclass. Tried to make it as easy as I could with that URL, and that'll get you the sign up form for that and everything, give you some more information on that class.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Foster, this was fantastic. So we actually this is part 1. We have a part 2 that we're going to do. It's not going to release for a week or two, but we didn't tell Foster any of the questions. We have a whole bunch of listener questions coming up. We're going to jump them with all kinds of nonsense. So check it out when that one comes out next time. So
this is going to be like the VIP, like paid, backstage.
Oh, that's what we should have done. Right. Sure.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Next time.
Sign up for our Fiverr or whatever things people do these days. I don't know what.
Who knows? Exactly.
Who knows? Take us home, Gabe.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening again to Coast to Coast. Foster, thank you for joining us here. And as always, everybody, join our Coast to Coast Pest Talk LinkedIn group. It's going down in the LinkedIn group. I think we just passed 100 members. So crushing it. Take care, guys.